This is the first uh, video podcast. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do with Debbie
Hello.
and people that I work with in the group because I have a group also that work with me. If you are not part of the group, you can join. And what we do in the group is we work with people that make music and who music is a really important thing in their life, mainly musicians, of course, where they wherever they are in their production skills, from very beginner to advanced, should I say. We all have questions. We can't like monitor everything that's happening in this world, and of course sometimes I think like one of the things that is the most difficult to do is to find people that we can connect with and share the same tastes, and also that we can have like feedback from them. And everyone is kind of isolated in their own bubble doing their music and trying to get releases on labels, but it's very difficult for people to uh, to have human contact, and that group is what it's
Mhm.
about. Come closer, we can't see you.
Hello.
There you go, she's a bit shy. So therefore in the group, what I was going to say is that people post music from their SoundCloud and they ask for feedback. So originally, when I started the whole coaching thing was in 2016, and I invited people to send me emails, and I would give feedback on the music. But eventually, the when the group was about, I don't know, like 700 people and more, I just couldn't do it anymore because I have my work, and I would spend almost more time on emails than doing my work, and that just didn't. It was not good, and so I created the group, which is what the group is about now. And people post their music, and what's amazing is that people now are supporting and
Each other.
commenting, yeah,
Hmm.
each other. And like even people that don't have much experience. I'm thinking about, let's say, Sebastian, who's a very active member and very excited. Like he will share what he likes about the tracks and doesn't have like always the vocabulary to explain like, oh, I don't think this is loud enough or something like that. But to get feedback like that is, I think, very valuable. Have you
Hmm.
have you been participating in the group? I'm not sure if I see. I think you
No,
posted one track.
yeah, I've been following. Also, what's interesting, I find that there's many artists that are connecting together and making music together.
Yeah,
So that's how we have now like Cosmic Relay and like collabs between people's music and like
yeah.
they're actually like I find this group now it's becoming bigger,
Mm,
and like artists are like finding other artists that they can connect with and make music with
mm-hmm.
virtually.
Yep,
So it's a bigger community now, and well, we have two labels now: Cosmic Relay and Force and Rivers.
yep.
So it started small, but now it's like going bigger and bigger, and I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, thank you
Like
for
from coaching to do a label with all those artists collabing together, and it's just getting
yeah, it's getting
bigger than its limit.
together.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did the labels
Hmm.
was basically because there's a lot of talented people out there. There's a lot of people I work with, and people that run labels are often working with their friends or people they meet in clubs,
Yeah.
and the more it goes, less and less labels will sign people randomly from the internet. It still happens, but it's very, very difficult, because you get bombarded as a label by requests, by people. You get bombarded by emails, by SoundCloud, Instagram sometimes, or Facebook. I have like every day I have like at least 5, 10 people sending me messages and asking about labels. And so for the label, like I do mastering, and people are asking for labels, and I thought it was like the perfect logic step would be to have a platform where I can actually release people that I find their music is amazing and that deserve to be out there. And sometimes people don't have. It's kind of
Hmm.
like a catch 22, because people are like they don't get released because they don't have a release out, but they cannot get released because they don't have something
And
else. So
also their music is amazing. We
yeah,
discovered in this community that you just did online. I think I discovered so many great artists that I didn't know about,
yeah,
and you're giving them the chance to release on a label, which is motivates them to take the steps and release on other labels or to
yeah,
collab with a new artist from the community. So I think it's like going many ways, and it's always positive. So it's super cool.
exactly. And like I think that when the labels are going to get attraction, it's going to get bigger and more busy, then they're going to be seen as something legit. And
Mhm.
I'm not going to release something without quality mastering and making sure that the music is
Mm.
quality as well. I mean, I'm still picky, and we received Felipe and Daniel sent us a release, and officially today we signed them for the second release. The first release is Jos from Holland. He's not from Amsterdam, but he lives in Holland.
By the way, talking about Yos, he's like very active.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
I never heard about him until I saw him in your group,
yeah,
and he does super good music
yeah,
also, and very active. And now he's like a new artist that I follow that I didn't even hear about before,
yeah. I
among
mean,
other artists also, like that I
that's the
discovered
point.
through your community
Yeah,
and that I work with also. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's super exciting, and I
I know
mean,
people are watching, but they're wondering what's the community, what is that label, what is happening. But
well,
if ever they're interested, they can just send a message and we can add them to the
the group.
coaching group.
Yeah, but if you do a research, you can go for Feek's coaching corner, and you'll see the group, answer a few questions, and then we will add you. We ask questions because we get spam, of course, like any groups, and I'm trying to keep
Mm.
the group with the best positive interaction. We only want constructive people, people that are motivated and are like interested in participating into something that is going to be bigger.
Mhm.
And we're almost like 400 members or something. Like last time I checked, it was something like 350. I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
lost track, but it's going great, and so we have room for more people. And the label is Cosmic Relay, as you
If you
pointed.
want to tell them about the label.
Yeah. So this concept was um, the idea is, instead of making a track by myself and then release it on a label, I was thinking one day it would be cool if like I ask this guy to do the kick, this guy to do the bass, this guy to do the melody, this guy to do percussion, and kind of delegate all the different aspect of a track to different people that I like what they do, and then I take the sounds from everyone and make a song out of it. And the Cosmic Relay is the we had a difficulty finding a name for the label, but it's Adam that came out with the name. And the idea was that it's actually we are relaying. So the project manager will take the track as it starts, and then we'll work a little bit on it and pass it to the next one. It's going to work a little bit on it, going to pass it to the next one, and it goes like that. And eventually we have an EP. So we released the first EP, and it was in the I think it reached top 4 or top 3 in on Beatport in the minimal section, and we're already working on the second one. So if you're interested in knowing more about that community, we can add you. We have a website where we have a forum, and this is where we decide how we're going to be doing it. And the cool thing about that is the more we're gonna have people, the more project we're gonna be able to do. And eventually, I want to have like tons of projects, and each time, like the project gonna be kind of like anonymous. You kind of know and don't know who actually made the tracks, but that's the beauty of it,
Yeah. I just posted the SoundCloud link to the label.
Cool. Um, so yeah, so that's about the label, and the video podcast that I want to do is weekly. I want to go through some tracks that people from the group are posting. I'm not sure how good the sound is going to be on there, but we're going to do our best to make sure that you at least hear a little bit of what's going on. And I'm going to give feedback, constructive feedback about what I hear, what could be improved, what can be changed. And like hopefully this is gonna help out people. But Debbie is here because sometimes, I don't know what people don't know. So maybe we will listen to a track and Debbie will be like, "Oh, I like that bass. How do you make that kind of bass? Or how do you make a compression for that track? Or how would you approach that in mastering?" But of course, if you have any questions, you can always put your questions on the feed, and we'll take the questions as they come. And then again, I'm already conscious that we might not hear them properly, but we'll do our best. So we have 6 or 7 tracks that are loaded right now. We have the first track loaded is from, I have no idea how to pronounce this name, but it's DNFDD. So I guess it's a Denft, Deftend, like Deft. I don't. There's this whole thing about names
Right
where
now,
people remove vowels and they keep only the consonant, and uh, it's funny. I still have no idea what it means, but anyway, the first track is called Cantarian 2 Mid
mid
Range.
range.
I'm not sure if mid range is a. Sometimes people, when they bounce a track, they have multiple versions, and they will give like a name based on like an experiment they did in the mixing. So sometimes people put like mid range because they want to check something with the mids. So we'll give it a try. And the way I'm going to be listening to the track is a bit how I listen to it as a label owner, which is I usually listen to the first 1/3 of the track, and then I jumped in, and then I jump in. Let's say if there's a breakdown, I will listen to the breakdown and maybe a little bit of like the last part. And second of all, the other reason is that, as you know, electronic music is very redundant sometimes, and I think we get the idea, the most of the idea in the first part of the track, and then later on it develops. It usually develops into something else. So I want to listen to how they develop, and if there's something that work or don't work, sometimes I scroll back and go check what happened. So we'll listen to this track. Cool. So I will turn up the volume and listen to some of the track. The first track is the Cantarian to mid range. Okay. So okay. So you said a comment. You felt like the percussion were a bit dry.
Yeah, the percussion a bit dry.
Um, I that's an aesthetic choice.
Mm-hmm.
I would never say to someone it's too dry, or I
Mm-hmm.
would be careful with like the actually I would say to someone like when it's too wet, because if percussion are too wet, it means that in a club they will lose the transients, and it will be very difficult to understand what's going on. But in here, it's not that they're dry. I think they're sharp. Maybe
Okay.
this is what you meant
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So the highs, the percussion, are a little bit kind of like piercing or rough for the ear. Um, I like the melody. The melody got me. That's huge because if the melody is not there, I usually lose interest very quickly. But what's really interesting about the song is it's like it builds and builds and builds and builds. It builds, but it doesn't like it's not like white noise build, like it's kind of like it just gains
Very ambient.
intensity.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful and powerful. And the only my only concern is that when do you play a track like that if you're a DJ? I think it would be opening a set,
Yeah, as an
or
intro.
an intro or last track of your set,
Or at 5 a.m.
or at 5 a.m. But but it's kind of like a track that as a DJ I would be scared to play because
Of the kick.
yeah, the kick doesn't come in fast. So where do I cue? And like I would need to kind of roll in and then find the
Yeah.
kick, and then kind of like, okay, gonna try to see if it beat matches and then go back. So like
You know
it's
what? I
rough.
was listening to it. I The kick is a bit like, rough to follow, but I could actually see this track as a really not good breakbeat structured track.
Yeah, and like there's no wrong or bad.
Bon, c'est ça.
It's I don't think I would ask him to change, but yes, of
Yeah.
course, if he would have something maybe with break beats in the background at low volume so
With the
that we
kick just
can,
to
or yeah, but I mean the kick is itself uh is powerful enough. It's like we listen pretty
yeah.
loud in here, and everything was kind of just like
Hmm.
it's huge. That track can be really, really powerful. And I had to go to around 4 minutes in to find like okay, this is where the groove starts to be all together. And I mean, great track. It's just I'm questioning as a DJ where exactly I would play that, but like listening in a studio, super cool. And yeah, maybe opening a
Hmm.
podcast with that would
Totally,
be amazing.
totally.
And the track is 7 minutes, so it's not too long, and you have enough time to mix in something else after, and things are going to be groovy.
He just, I think it's the artist, Andu. It's a finishing track. Yes, an outro.
It says it's an outro.
Yeah, outro. I just need to turn on sound,
Cool.
but I couldn't hear much of the melody. It was too loud for my headphones.
So I'm gonna move on to the next one, which is a track called Lunatic 2. I think this one, the artist says MGSJ, I think is Jules, that made this track. Jules, been following him. He's been in the group since much of the beginnings.
Mhm.
He's huge into Ricardo Villalobos,
I
huge,
see
huge
that. Yeah.
fan. Yeah, and it's amazing because I think he has like a background in music composition,
Okay.
and he like it happened a few times that he said that the track is in C, da da da. Like he's very keen on melodies, and he's paying a lot of attention with that. So
Sorry,
what
talking about Ricardo, everyone, like a lot of people I know making music, they're like, how can you get that Ricardo sound?
what is the Ricardo sound?
Ask you, you're a big fan.
I mean,
That's like, I don't know, that's like, I don't know, that like he records a track of 15 minutes and you're never bored of it. It's like an
yeah.
ongoing trip. And I don't know, I guess it's his, like, the way he uses his, like, analog gear, like, it's like a huge a progression that stays there and you never get bored of it for 15 minutes, for 17 minutes. It's always,
Yeah, well, Ricardo's secret, and it's not a secret, but lies in the infrastructure of how he makes his music. His music is basically he uses a TR-8 for the percussion most of the time for the kick, and then he has like a gigantic modular
mhm,
rack
spaceship.
spaceship, and each time that he makes a song, he makes a new patch. And like the thing with modular is things are kind of synced and not synced, which means that his music gets polyrhythmic.
So gives like a randomization into the,
Yeah, it always feels like it's moving because it
mhm,
feels like it's randomized because
yeah,
things are making certain things
nice
move, and
distortion.
there's distortions that are analog, so it gives like this saturation
Mm,
feeling, really warm. But like the fact that sometimes you're not on the grid and you're a little bit off makes it for the ear extremely pleasing
okay,
because
interesting.
it sorts of emulate what the band does when a band
Like a live
plays.
jam type of
Yeah,
vibe.
live jam, no one is like totally on the beat. They're slightly off. And the slightly off is something that keeps people interested. And the
Mhm.
polyrhythmic aspect is very powerful for that because if things are constantly shifted and then come back on the grid and sometimes completely off, the ear and the mind is always trying to keep track of everything that's going on, and this is why you never get bored
Mhm.
because there's a lot of
Makes sense.
information.
Makes sense.
So it's kind of complicated, but it's also not complicated. The concept is simple, but in practice, to make it
The
happen,
process is
that's another thing.
another thing.
So back to Jules now. Jules has been making this series of tracks that are influenced by Ricardo.
Excited to hear.
Ricardo did a track a long time ago called Luna, which is also one of my favorite tracks from him. Very kind of hypnotizing, repetitive, um mind mind fuck. So it's pretty fun. And I know that he posted the first version of it, and I suggested that he opens up a little bit more the stereo field, which was all in mono. And the one thing about Ricardo is that everything is just spread it out. His sound design is crazy.
Mm.
So this is something that I think he worked on. We'll see what he did. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we'll see. So we'll listen to Jules now. Okay, cool. So I'll stop it because I think we get the idea of
Mm-hmm.
the track, which is a really long track. It's almost 11 minutes long, so I don't want to spend 11 minutes. I mean, the cool thing is that it's a track that um, I would DJ that. You know, it's like uh, it doesn't fuck around. It starts with the beat. It just leaves plenty of room to mix in if you're a DJ. Everything is added gradually and in a very logical way, adding the toms and then adding melody, and the melody is super catchy. And after that, you know, like there's a break in the beginning. Ricardo is known for sometimes like he does like a I think he makes it tracks for himself, you know, like
Yeah.
so what he does like a 132 at the beginning, and then he makes a break, and then the track starts for real.
Yeah, like a really random breakdown.
Yeah, right at
Like
the
what
beginning.
happened and then poof, he goes back.
Yeah, so it's weird
Mm-hmm.
because he for a long time like all his tracks add the breakdown right at the
And then they
beginning,
start.
which usually the break you want to put at the 2/3 of the
Mm-hmm.
track instead, but he would start right at the beginning with the breakdown. I think it's because it's DJ style, which is when he mixes really fast. So doesn't won't let like I'm the opposite. Like when I DJ, I'm like 4 tracks for the longest time each. So I want stuff like that are very uh, kind of toolish, like everything is at the right place, and you know, so it works well. What was your feeling about it?
I really enjoyed the intro. So it wasn't like I didn't get bored. It was, and then like you said, the elements were coming one after the other. I think that track could be shorter, and I don't know. I enjoyed it. That's about it. And the ambiance. It's simple. You can mix it right away. It's a nice tool to have in your playlist for sure.
Cool.
Maybe it's like a longer breakdown a bit,
The
like just
beginning.
with like yeah, just have like a small like that breakdown in the middle.
Yeah.
Just have something really twisted happening, just to move it a bit, just to give it a different movement, and then come back
Yeah.
with the kick like it was at the beginning.
Um.
I just wanna like feel surprised at some point. I wasn't really surprised, but like I enjoyed it, but I just want like a random surprise that's gonna move me off the beat and just then come back. Everything.
I agree with you, but at the same time, you know, like I skipped a good part, so
Yeah.
maybe there's a surprise that we missed. So
Maybe.
that I'm not sure.
Cool.
But I'm down with you because I find that a song without a surprise, you're missing the opportunity of creating something magical.
Just
I,
to destabilize a bit.
yeah, it could be, you know, surprise. There's different types of surprise. There's surprise stabilize, like you say. There's surprises that are kind of like it's like the missing thing that glues everything together.
Okay.
So it's hard to say, but for this, as a surprise, I would definitely think of maybe a voice,
Yes,
you
I was
know,
thinking about
like a
that.
voice, but like a from I would see like
Like granulated or
um what I'm hearing in my mind is more like something like a recording from a movie from the 60s, you know, something, and Jules is French, so it would be amazing to have something in French. So maybe all the talk about Serge Gainsbourg or Jean-Luc Godard or Cousteau or I don't know, something like a quote or something that brings it all together. That would be really refreshing. My only technical criticism that I would have for this track is that I find that everything is too much on the grid.
It's very tight.
So
Like it's very tight. Even from the beginning, I felt like even when the elements comes in, like
to me, it's
it's really
too
tight.
tight.
Yeah.
It's too tight. It lacks elasticity. Like I don't feel like there's at least one element that is just kind of like elastic in there. So like one thing that I learned when I did tango, I used to dance tango, and one thing that fascinated me was observing a professional tango dancer do very very simple stuff compared to, let's say, a beginner like me that would do the same thing. What would be the difference between them and me? And the difference between someone that is new to a dance compared to someone is a beginner is mechanical. A beginner is robotic. It's kind of like it doesn't look natural. It doesn't feel like it's like this
It's
elasticity.
like trying to do the same thing than his idol, but it's like just taking
No, I'm pointing out more that
the technique.
the like in tango there's a move called ocho, which is like something that you do like that. But or the teacher was a professional tango dancer, and when he would do the ocho, it looked like it was like wind, like it looked like a Tai Chi master. And when I was doing it, it looked like I was kind of like running around from a mouse that was on the floor or something, so it's really a contrast. And this track is exactly that. It's like he's doing ochos, but in a kind of mechanical way. So, like I need to see things go a little bit off grid. I need things to kind of like shuffle a little bit. And that, can be fixed super easily with a groove template. So with a really good groove template, especially in Ableton, the great thing is that you can play with the random. You can add like a 7% random, and you can also play with the quantize. And in Ableton, you can also play with the percentage of how much you want to influence the grid. So there's 100%. It goes all the way to 110 or 120. So that can be automated.
Okay, are you talking about the groove pool?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the groove pool, you take a groove, you put it there, and then you can say the random you put at 7%.
Okay.
Quantize, you put it at like sometimes like by default it's 100, but I like to put it at 75.
75. Okay.
75. And the velocity is 75 as well. But then down there's like a percentage in Ableton.
Yeah, just on the
on the low side. That can be automated.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So what's cool is that you can draw in your on the I think it's on the master bus, but you can make automation of like certain parts of your track you want the groove to hit a little bit more, so that things can be moving. And like there's tons of things you can do with groove, and when I hear something that is a bit tight like that, I'm like, I just want to put groove on that and see it flow. So I mean, it's just like a little thing.
He has the idea, he has the ear, but I'm sure now he's gonna get inspired to make things shuffle more.
Hopefully Jules is gonna go back and do his homework, because this track is tons of potential.
So next one is
next track is Sotron. And Death Set. So I think Sotron is a new member of the group. I haven't heard anything from him. Doesn't ring a bell at all. So I have no idea if it's what it's going to be like. I'm very curious. So we'll take a moment to listen. The track is 5 minutes long, so I will listen to the first part and then scroll. I'm just going to pause it for a second because I have already a bunch of things I want to say. Keep in mind what you were wanting to say, but it's this track is, I mean, like if I had like a star, or award of the day, I would give a star, because this track for me, like it's, of course, it's kind of like in the under the umbrella of Romanian techno, and I'm kind of a sucker for that because I like that kind of music. I mean, how can you not like something that is groovy organic, spacey, like doesn't have and doesn't need to have much to be interested, but just enough to keep you interested. And you know, like there's a really good thing about this track, which is that I love, which is the melody is mixed in the mix down. The melody is really low, and you know, like a lot of people, they and I do that myself, and you don't need to put it like
In front.
right in
Yeah.
the front, right in the face of the person.
To the foreground.
It's good that it's in the back because it's like it's the concept of that. If you want to be heard, whisper. You know,
Yeah.
because when you whisper, people are like
They wanna know more.
they have to pay attention to what you say. So I like that. It's subtle. And this track, what I like also is we were saying that it was lacking a surprise, and this like is exactly what I was talking about from the past one. At I think exactly in the middle of the track where it could have become a bit redundant. The guy drops like a twist on the percussion where they become kind of like more like it sounds like a shaman playing with sticks or something, and that alone like is like wow, okay, something's happening, you know, like I'm like I get excited by the it's very little. You don't need
It's very simple.
you don't need like an explosion, and you know, one time I did a remix for this label, and the label like I sent it, they replied back to me, they said the track has to be more dark, like more like scary. And I was like,
I'm
that's
not feeling
weird.
dark these days.
No, me neither. So I sent, you know, like I made like the chords to I shifted them more in minor and made them more, but they wanted more and more and more and more to a point where the track was not interesting
Less
anymore.
is more.
Yeah, so little things can make
It's a huge difference.
a huge difference. So I'm just gonna listen, but I think the track is gonna stay like that. Very
Very
simple,
subtle.
very
Captivating the whole time.
yeah. This is more like for a DJ, it's maybe either like a DJ set or something more beginning of the night. But I love music that is low key, so got me on that one. Very organic,
The percussions, yeah.
very organic. It's funny because I love percussion that are very clear, like things are not muddy, like they really stand in the mix, and here they just go through the mix, and it works really well.
Was there a good reverb on the percussions? I was wondering because they sound really. There's a depth to them, I find.
Yeah, there's probably a reverb on them. I'm not sure if there are. I think they're probably samples of something that was recorded in a studio.
Okay.
So what you hear is the natural reverb of the sample. But if the guy added a reverb, you can add like a reverb at 7%, something very, very little, and it will add dimension.
What about while let's say you're recording the track and you just play with the dry and wet, the reverb?
Yeah, sure, yeah, of course, that's fun. I mean, there's reverbs that have like a diffuse on them, and that usually kind of is like creates kind of a noise floor. And I prefer reverbs that are really clear, that if they're on, you can't really tell they're there. So those are reverbs with a little bit of chorus in them.
Okay.
And the chorus will bring a more organic feel. So on the reverb of Ableton, there's a chorus. So if you play with it in a subtle way, you can kind of emulate like a really organic kind of percussion style.
Taking notes.
So that's a super cool track. I mean, up to now, like I love all the tracks played. This one kind of strike a chord in me. I really enjoyed it. Next one is Nicolas Bouzas with project Abstraz,
Yes.
which I think is with Green. They're working together?
They're working together, but I think this one it's only Nicolas.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, okay. So the slash Abstraz is
It's
just
for-
to say that
There is projects together, yeah.
okay, but not this track.
No.
This track is him solo. But I see the track was already public because there's people that commented on it, and Michele Tomassini said that it's super sound, so should be good. when Michele says that it's super sound, it's
Yeah.
usually super sound.
Yeah, actually, Nicola dropped this in the community in the group
Yep.
for your feedback by you.
Yeah.
So that's why it's on the list right now.
Perfect.
I think it's the last. Is it the last track, or we have?
No, we have
We have
4 more.
4 more.
It's going good. It's
Okay.
going good. So I'm down. I like doing this, so we'll do it. I mean, I
Perfect.
don't have time to always go in the group and comment all the time.
So now we're just doing it once.
So we're doing it
All
all at
together.
once. So we'll tell people just go and listen to the track, listen to the podcast where I talk about the track. Okay, so this is just like a snippet. It's only 2 minutes long. I don't think it's the full. It's not the full track.
No, it's not the full track. It's only 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And talking about things out of the grid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you notice the hats, like the elements, super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Nicola, I've been listening to his music for I don't know, a year now or something. And in terms of percussion, in terms of like trippy and wonky, he knows what he's doing. Like there's no doubt. Here I mean, compared to the other track that we played before, the sounds are a bit hurting. Like the percussion needs a bit of EQing. Nothing dramatic, a little bit loud in the mix, EQ a little bit around 3K, 4, 5. It's just notches down because it was just like, ugh. And the problem is this is 2 minutes, so I don't know. Definitely, I'm sure the track doesn't start like that, you know. But is it in the middle part of the track? Is it the beginning or the end? I don't know. So it's very difficult for me to have a kind of like feedback in terms of structure, what's happening. But in terms of groove, he's killing it. Super solid, super heady, trippy stuff. I love that. I just would like to hear the whole track so that I can have like kind of a better idea like how he develops it. Because halfway, I felt like it felt like he was jamming live and then he was searching himself. Like I felt like I wasn't really sure what he was doing. But that said, if I had the entire track, maybe this is something that is part of something that happened before or come back later, and that
connecting the story together.
Yeah, and then the story makes sense. But out of 2 minutes like that, I'm just a bit confused of exactly what he has. So definitely would love to hear the full thing. So we'll see in the future. Okay, next one is Eos. I'm not sure if I pronounce it. Heos. It says NZT 300 downloads. So I'm not sure if it means that the first 100 downloads are free or
first 100 downloads are free.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I assume it's that, but you'd be surprised. People give really weird names sometimes, and it could have meant something else. So what I suggest is like you put that in the notes down there, so that you know that it's not the track.
I think he's watching now. So
okay, cool. Yeah, it's what's his name? It's Christian.
It's Christian, yeah.
Vulpe or Vulp?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been in touch with us. He wanted feedback. So he joined the group last week, I think. Did he?
Yes, last week.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Christian, we'll listen to what you did, and we'll have feedback. I get the idea. I like that track a lot. I like it a lot. It makes me. This is a kind of. A lot of people think, oh, Pheek minimal. Pheek likes minimal. Pheek does minimal. Blah blah blah. It's a comment I hear all the time, but like this kind of track for me is super nostalgic. Like I remember like parties that I went to and that kind of music was playing at like 3-4 a.m. and it's just like like because the first hour you get to a club, people talk. Hey, how are you? What did you do? Da da da. People drink. Da da da. And then eventually you get in the zone. You get in the flow where people kind of stop talking and then they dance, they listen, they get involved in music. And this is the kind of music that here in Montreal, like for the longest time, to 10 years ago, it was this was like really the kind of stuff, and it's amazing because this genre never really went out of style. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like people like I think this is the kind of music that can be timeless. Like he's really nailed it on making something that will still be playable in 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
10 years. Uh, I find that in terms of technical aspects, like great execution doesn't need more than everything is there.
Simple mix down.
Exactly, the mix down
Yeah.
is the down point here.
Mm-hmm.
So the bass line needs to be changed because right now it's fighting with the kick. You probably can't hear at home, you guys, but the bass is really badass. Like it's really here. It's just like it feels like
Sound.
yeah, it feels like an
Mm-hmm.
elephant. It's just like like it's really thick and beefy, and it's what you need in a club to make people be really interested. The percussion needs kind of like it's a little bit confusing. Needs a little bit of EQing. The hats need just like a little bit of polishing because it's hurting the ears. There's one thing in terms of arrangements that I would be really careful about in this kind of track, which is a lot of the sounds when they're coming in, I can see an Ableton just a block being placed there. Like I see the kick is playing, and then he's adding the pad, and then the percussion, and then the bass, and then like it comes like that. So it's like a pyramid, what I call the pyramid kind of. It's classic. Nothing wrong with that. So although there's no sound that comes fade in, so usually you want to have a ratio that if the sound, like let's say the hi-hats are coming in, like the kick is playing and then hats coming and then they're playing. Well, the clap or whatever other percussion, you might want to fade in, like slowly in the background, it fades in and it comes in over
Didn't
one or
see
two
that.
bars.
All the other sounds.
Yeah,
I didn't see the fade in and out.
no, exactly, that's
Yeah.
what I'm pointing out. So
I said, empty your
nothing
mind.
wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that because,
Shapeless.
like it's punchy, it's good.
Now you
But
put
again, if
water
you
in
think
water,
about tango,
it becomes the color. You put water in
I
water,
personally
it
I
becomes
feel
the
like
water. You put
you
it in
would
the
gain a lot
it
more
becomes the
fluidity
tea.
and
Now water can flow,
kind of
or
like
it can crash.
elasticity and
Be water, my
also
friend.
flow by making certain sounds flow in.
Mm-hmm.
You bring them in like a fade in like that, and that is a slight detail that usually makes a big difference because what's amazing, the kind of feedback that I love is that when someone listens to the track and they go like this, huh, now there's a voice, but I realize that it's playing, but I don't know when it started playing.
Mm-hmm. Lost
This
in the
this
track.
means that it just crawled in
Mm-hmm.
really slowly to a point where now it's playing and you didn't even
Very
realize.
subtle, yeah.
So that can only be achieved by a fade in. And it's kind of the magical part of having something like that instead of just always dropping. Always dropping is great, it's punchy, but
Little surprises.
you need
Mm-hmm.
magic, you need mojo, you need some kind of like a little bit more elasticity again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is Anton Poe.
Oh.
I hope we said, I know it's, I guess it's Poe. So Anton, I've been following him for a few months. We talked a few times. I talk with people, people like they talk on the group, but sometimes they talk to me in private
Mm-hmm.
and we have a little chit chat. And Anton, I think he's like from Eastern Europe, not sure Bulgaria or some place very remote from Canada at least. And he did a few tracks that I really loved. So each time he posts a track, I'm always curious. And I just now that I open it, Michele said it's super sound, so it must be good. Super sound approved.
Super sound.
Yeah, super sound. I really want to meet Michele
Me
in
too,
person.
by the
Like
way.
People
He
are
has really good
laughing.
taste. He has really good taste. I'm
Yeah,
always on his profile, like discovering new artists because of him.
I follow him and I discover new artists because of him. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are like complaining that he's always say super sound, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's all he says. I don't know. But
That's
I love
his.
that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's listen to Anton. Okay, I'll stop it there. So Debbie has goosebumps.
I'm loving that Arabic vocal.
What was she saying in the did you
I am
understand?
not really. I have to listen again and again
Okay.
to pick up the words.
Okay.
But very emotional voice. That's why I like having this type of vocal.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that Anton does really good is finding simple but yet ever-changing elements that keeps you like, yeah, and you feel like, especially this song, like it's just so,
I feel like the sounds that were going around the head, like coming back,
yeah,
going around.
yeah, it's
It
crazy.
feels all the spectrum around you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like,
And very compressed. Like very compressed, I find.
you
Maybe
find
it's
it
me.
compressed?
I found it was compressed.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it's not the right term, it's just something vraiment everything was inside that bubble.
Well, the thing is that this track has there's probably like a master on it.
Okay.
So this is probably what you're hearing. Because first off, it's way louder than the other tracks that we played today. It's probably the loudest one. And the only thing is that there was multiple sounds that needed EQing.
Okay.
So the male voice needed EQing, was hurting. There was some sounds that came in. Again, it's always the same thing. People like always need to be very careful with around 3K, 4K, 5K, because that's like a very sensitive region to the ear. And it's usually where a lot of people fail to cut because they probably because their monitoring at home is not giving them the overview of seeing that there's a problem there. So a lot of when I do mastering, like I like I open my template and there's like already a cut there. So it's like always cutting, and sometimes I don't need it, but it's just most of the time I do because it's just really hurting the ear. And I mean, in terms of structure, it's super interesting. At 2 minutes, it just dropped a different hi-hat.
Yeah, no, there was this part where he transitioned and it was beautiful.
And it's kind of surprising, but it worked. And then last part, he brought the Arabic voice, which was killer. Super great. I didn't really think, this is what I was saying earlier. You bring something that glues everything together.
True.
And that voice totally fits there, So this is a great call. I'll put an award on that. That's a great track.
Approved.
Yeah, Approved is super awesome. I mean, all tracks are great, but some are standing out. This one is great.
So we have
next one is called Me Also, and the track is called Dark Said, but all in one. So, okay, I don't know Me Also, like I don't know who that is.
I think Adam is going to.
Did Adam post it?
He's gonna post it.
Okay, so let's go with Me Also. Okay. This is a good example of a track that has everything to be working, but it's not well executed.
The arrangement could be really, really different.
Yeah. So I mean, there's like enough melodic aspect. There's groove. Things are not too much on the grid. So like he's like playful, like he understands a lot of the technical things. The only problem is storytelling. So well, no, not the only problem. One of the problems is storytelling. The other issue that I hear is a lot of the sound levels are not at the right place. So for instance, with the hat starting at the beginning, it was like it's a bit piercing, and then the bass was way too low. Too high, I mean, but it's kind of like fighting with the kick, and so lower down the hats, kind of
Sidechain the
low
bass.
sidechain the bass, lower it down a little bit, and then you pointed out, Debbie whispered to me that she felt like right from the beginning there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we could we could breathe more at the beginning, and then because it has a lot of elements, and just like bring those elements at some point slowly.
Exactly. You know, making a track is like a flirt. You know, like a good flirt. A good flirt is dosing. So, so you know, like a good flirt is you want to reveal yourself, but no, not everything right from the beginning. Otherwise, you're gonna work hard to remain interesting later on in the discussion. So you have to reveal a little bit at a time and keep some of your best elements and surprises for later on, so that the person that listens all the way through feels like, wow, okay, I'm happy that I listened all the way here. So I skipped 2 times in the track. I skipped at the end and there was nothing new. And it felt like the track was searching itself. You know, some tracks are tools and it's the same thing right from the beginning until the end, but that's because they created what I call timeless loops. And in this one, there's a lot of movement and it's not kind of just working totally fine. So it's nothing, it's almost there, but it's not, you know. So maybe some elements, you know, in the structure of Ableton, when I sometimes work in coaching with people, I take some elements because I see that everything is kind of like starting really intensely at the beginning. I just delete everything and keep some for the middle part, some a little bit there, and some at the 2/3 of the track. And that usually does like a really right balance of things.
Talking about storytelling, I'm just gonna put the article in the link that you wrote
Oh,
about
yeah.
Storytelling.
That I published Monday. Yeah, it's interesting because that blog, I did a blog post. For people that don't know, I have a blog, and I people propose ideas of things like we could talk about, and storytelling is something that I'm it's one of my favorite topics, but it's also, I find that it's one of those topics that I could talk for maybe 15 blog posts and I still wouldn't maybe get to the bottom of what I want to say, and it's also extremely personal. So I talk about it, you know, but from my own perspective, and of course, who am I to say that things should be like that? That's not the point, but I'm trying to sort of share what I hear in the best tracks, because I master a lot of music. Some tracks are amazing, some tracks need some love, but the tracks that are good always have something in common. The arrangements and storytelling is killer, and that makes a track really great and memorable. We have a last track, which is called
Okay.
I think it's from Alex Dragomir, who's been really active in the group, been posting really
cool stuff.
And kind of like really open to criticism and wanting to grow as an artist. So we'll see how that goes. He posted 2 tracks actually.
Yeah, it's 2 in 1.
There's one called Zeph Criticon Premaster, and the other one is Kimono. So I guess we'll play and we'll see which one plays first. So this track is great. You know what's amazing is sometimes when I work with the music or when I listen to music, I don't know if maybe you can tell me if it happened to you, but sometimes I can tell a bit of the personality of the person by listening to the music.
Totally.
And this track, so Alex, I am sure that this guy is a very calm and patient person, because he has balls. Like I mean, in 3 minutes and still no hi-hats, and he's taking his time to just like play with the sounds. And you know, we were talking about such a different contrast from the guy just before, which like
Totally.
in 3 minutes, like he basically did Like he dropped all the
The elements.
sounds of his track, and then after that he was cut of like, oh, what am I going to do with all that? And see, Alex here is just confident as hell and takes his time. And you know, like sometimes we think, okay, I'm gonna bring a sound, but the cool thing is that we forget that a sound can actually evolve through a song, through the song. So you hear the sound in a specific way at the beginning, but then in the middle part and in the end, it can actually be completely different. So for instance, the bass started like very, you know, and then eventually it became really fuzzy. It's cool because you're like, wow, okay, so there's like a morphing thing, and it's just like, visually speaking, it's super cool because I can imagine someone on mushroom listening to that and see like the bass, and then the bass kind of just morphs into this like giant planet of like fluffy things and whatever is happening, you know. But and it's super trippy. It's like well done. This is the kind of track that I would love to do mixed down because I think like it could be like a notch up, and it would be
Just
like
boost all the elements.
yeah, yeah. Boosting and clarity for the elements, and just I think Alex is very shy about compression. So each time he posts a track, everything is low and volume, but this is like typical from the Romanians. They're all like that. And so yeah, boosting the elements, boosting the track in general, kind of like gluing things together without over compressing. So yeah, great track, love it. So you sent me a last one, and we're gonna do from Jos,
Yes.
but Jos doesn't need feedback.
I know.
Jos doesn't need feedback. He's on a planet of his own, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, we we all need feedback. I when I finish a track, I send it to you, and I'm like, Debbie, is it okay? But I'm joking. But Jos is like, he's always like interested in having feedback. But I feel like his music,
which is good.
yeah, it's great. He's humble.
Since he's
Humble. It's good.
stay humble, stay humble.
Stay humble. So let's listen. So the track is that he submitted is only a minute 42. So I guess it's something he's just working on. We can tell the mix down is not final. There's one note of the bass which is way too low, and then my subwoofer and my speakers were struggling because it was probably needs to be cut around 20 hertz or 30 hertz to just not have that rumble. But otherwise, I mean, the groove is killer. The sounds are great. This typical Yost track, like it's just really solid. Uh, One thing that I like about Yost, which makes a strength of his, is that this is a really good example of storytelling. Because in music, you know, there's phrase, and your phrase as like you can put a comma and then you can put a period. You know, like let's say I'm gonna be like, and went. No, sorry. I wanted some milk, period. And then I went to the park, period, to find out that there was water, comma, end of sentence. You know, so this is storytelling. In music, you have periods and then you have comma. And he really understands like how to use them. For instance, I'm going to show you, this is a good example of what a comma is. So right now he's talking. And then end of sentence, starting. Now he's starting another sentence. Period. 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 And then starting. Now he's starting. He's continuing the sentence. That was comma. He stopped the sentence, and now he's starting a new sentence with the melody. It's well structured. So for people that didn't get that because the music was playing at the same time, I was explaining Debbie that it's really interesting how like he makes a sentence, does he put a period and then a comma, and then he uses the comma and the period to create anticipation of how the next sound is going to come in. And it's really well executed because you kind of like, this is what makes a track addictive, is that you can kind of predict what's coming next, but still be surprised. So this is like what really makes something like, ah, yes, it's not like I went to see the Star Wars, the last Star Wars that came, where it's like they play with that, but the surprise that come in are super annoying. But in this case, like each surprise that come in are just like, yes, yes,
More.
more, more. So yeah, so this is a great track again. So I guess we'll stop here. I think we've been like doing it for over an hour. Everything has been recorded. We're gonna put this on YouTube. I hope you guys liked it. We plan to do this more often. This was fun and I think hopefully helpful for a few of you. So for everyone that was watching, thank you, and let's catch up next time.